My top 5 amazing freelancing tips just for you. Let's get started. Hey, what's going on guys? Tanmay here for Simple Snippets and welcome back to my channel. And today I'm going to be talking about 5 amazing freelancing tips just for you. So I've been getting a lot of questions about how to go about freelancing, what is freelancing, how to start off and how to get your very first project, especially if you're a beginner in computer science or information technology. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you 5 amazing tips which I believe I have followed throughout my freelancing time, and this will surely help you, especially if you're a beginner, especially if you're an IT or computer science student. So let's get started. So the first tip is just start, man, just start. Now hearing this, you'll be like, wow, Tanmay, wow, what an amazing tip. Just start. We didn't know about this, yeah? So just hear me out before you actually hit in the comments and write all those hate comments. Just hear me out. Let me explain what I mean by just start. So when I say just start, what I'm trying to say is, even if you're a beginner, it is not important that you are master of particular technology if you're getting into it. Let's take an example of web development. Even if you have very basics of web development, let's say you just studied basics of HTML, CSS and JavaScript, and if you're wondering whether you're not ready enough, whether you're not perfect enough, whether you're not mastered that particular technology or language, then I'm really going to tell you one thing, that if you're going to be running behind perfection at a very beginner's level, then you'll never start freelancing. You'll always be underconfident and thinking that, okay, I'm not really sure, I'm not really prepared, and that thought will procrastinate your freelancing. So what I'm trying to say is, just start off with whatever knowledge you have and then you can build on top of it. So to clear this out, let me give you my example itself. When I first started off, my first project was a portfolio website for a fashion designer, and I and my friend had approached him. So he came in via some contact, and he wanted a portfolio website wherein he was going to be uploading this photoshoot images every week, every month, and it was a dynamic website, and we did not know anything about dynamic websites. So after our bachelor's, we had started off with a little bit of web development. So we learned a little bit of HTML, a little bit of CSS, JavaScript just by YouTubing, just by Googling, and we were confident enough that we can build a static portfolio website. But we did not know how to go about a dynamic website wherein the user is going to put a lot of content every week, right? So what we did is we literally took that order. We I guess charged him around 5,000 rupees. Money was not our primary criteria back then. And what we did is we came home and we googled out and we came across this concept of WordPress. So WordPress is a content management system, and I'm not going to get into a lot of detail, but basically what it does is it gives you a dynamic template wherein you can drag and drop pages, drag and drop posts and create dynamic stuff, okay? So it's built on top of PHP, and we started learning PHP a little bit because we did not have it in our curriculum, and we got the basics. We learned WordPress. We literally took that order before even being sure that whether we can do it or not, we just did it. And then after we learned WordPress, we actually made that website, we deployed it, and it worked out pretty well. So when I say just do it, I literally mean you don't have to be an expert in any kind of domain. So this was just web development. Let's say you're getting into software or Android app development or anything, you don't have to be an expert. You just need to start. So yeah, that was tip number 1, just start. Let's move on to tip number 2. Now tip number 2 is to start off with your contacts. So now you're all hyped up, you're all pumped up, you're like, okay, I'm gonna start, and you're all excited about this, but you're like, okay, so where do I get my first contact? Where do I get my first business? Where do I get my first freelance order, right? So the best way to start off is to start off from your contacts, from your family, from your friends, from your mutual friends and long distance family members, whoever have a business. Now the reason why you should start off with your family and your friends is because the level of risk is low, So when you're approaching a random person, the risk of you making a mistake in the project is very high, the stakes are high. So let's say if your relative or your uncle is having a business, your uncle is a chartered accountant, this is just an example. Let's say he's a chartered accountant and he has his own firm. You can approach him and you can tell him that you're into web development and you want to develop a website for his firm, and that you'll take so and so amount of time, and probably you want to charge or not. I would not recommend that you charge for the first time maybe, especially if he or she is your family member, but then you can do it if you feel. I'm not saying that you should not charge, but yeah, the stakes will be very less, the risk will be very less because he or she is your family member or he or she is your friend, right? So even if you make a mistake, even if the time gets delayed, you can still get off easily, If you're doing it for a stranger, then you can get into some trouble, right? So the best way to start off is to start off with your friends. And trust me guys, a lot of your friends, a lot of your family members definitely must be having some kind of business for which you can develop a software, for which you can develop an application, for which you can develop a website and whatnot, so it can be pretty much everything and anything. So yes, start off with your contacts. That's the tip number 2. Let's move on to the next tip. Tip number 3. Tip number 3 is you need to team up, you need to collaborate, you need to partner up. So now you are pumped up, you are excited, you are ready to make your first move into the freelancing world, and you've also figured out that you're going to be starting off with your contacts, with your relatives, or maybe your own parents' business, let's say. But now you're wondering, okay, you still lack that little bit of confidence. So the best way to overcome that is to partner up with some of your friend who is like-minded. So let's say you want to get into web development and you want to develop a website for your own family. Let's say your dad or mom has some business and you want to develop a website for that. Let's take an example of, let's say your mom or dad is a dentist or a doctor and he or she has her own clinic. So you want to develop a website for that clinic, So what you can do is you can approach your friend who is also into web development and you can tell him that, hey man, you know what, I'm trying to develop this website. Let's do it together. And the biggest advantage of this is that you will have one more smart mind working on the project, So when you have one more or more than one minds working on a project, there is a lot of knowledge transfer that is happening between the two. So let's say you are stuck at some module, maybe your friend can resolve that, and vice versa, maybe he or she is stuck at some problem and you can resolve it. So the speed of the development of project increases and the success rate also increases, and you learn a lot from your friends. And one more amazing thing that you learn is you learn how to perform teamwork, So when you are actually completing your educational career and when you start off with your corporate career, you're going to be working in teams, right? That's obvious. Because it's not about individuals, it's about team when you work in a corporate environment. And the best example and the best experience that you can get is by freelancing and by collaborating with others. So teaming up is really, really important. It will also boost your confidence because then you can divide the risk, you can divide the work among members of your partners, and that will give you a little bit more confidence. So that's tip number 3. Moving on to tip number 4. Tip number 4 is sort of something that is not really essential, but it will definitely help you when you want to outgrow your business, when you want to outgrow your freelancing projects. And the tip number 4 is to get social. When I say get social, what I mean is you need to be little bit active on digital media. That is the social media platforms. You need to create a Facebook page, you need to create an Instagram page, you need to create a small blog or website if you want. But I would really recommend this because creating this social media pages will help you grow more than your friends, more than your family, right? It will help you reach out the entire world. And I've noticed that there is a lot of negativity at times when it comes to social media. People say that you get addicted to Facebook, you get addicted to Instagram. But you know what the irony is? The people who complain about all these social media platforms are also complaining on these social media platforms itself, right? So instead of talking negative about all these social media platforms, how about you try to utilize it, So even YouTube is a social media platform where I make this informational videos. You watch a lot of informational content. You get a lot of knowledge on social media actually. So you need to use it positively for your benefit in a positive way and not take it negatively. So yes, being social is very important. You might get your next project, next freelance order right from the social media platforms as you move ahead, So once you've exhausted your list of contacts, once you've exhausted all the list of family members, you can actually go social, you can promote your pages, promote your work online, and that will really help you a lot. And creating a digital identity on social media, creating a website, creating a blog, creating a page gives it a professional look and you can showcase your work there also. So this was tip number 4. Let's move on to the last tip. Now the last tip is sort of like my personal opinion, personal advice, personal suggestion. It's not exactly a tip, but it will surely help you if you're a beginner. Now the tip is you need to be jack of all and king of none. So what do I mean by jack of all and king of none? So when you're starting off with your freelance career, I'm assuming that you are a college student, you're an IT student, and you haven't really got into the corporate world. So you don't have a lot of experience. So when this is the case, I would suggest you guys that you try out a lot of different technologies rather than sticking to one particular technology, okay? So let's say you want to become a master of PHP and you're like, okay, I'm going to do web development and I'm only going to stick to PHP. But you know that technology keeps on changing. A lot of things become obsolete, outdated, and new technologies keep on coming, right? So what if PHP gets outdated? What are you going to do, right? So instead of that, how about you first start off with PHP, then try a little bit of ASP.NET as well, then get into JavaScript. So this was for web development. Let's say maybe you hop into Android development, mobile apps, let's say you hop into software development, C Sharp or Java software apps and whatnot, you need to diversify yourself and you need to be having knowledge about each and everything little bit, at least at the fundamentals. So what I'm trying to say is you don't have to be a master of one particular technology, at least at a beginner's level, but you need to know a lot of things, at least at their fundamental level. So this reduces the risk. What if tomorrow one thing gets outdated? You can easily switch to another thing, right? And it's always good to have a lot of knowledge. So after you complete your college, you'll be getting into corporate scenarios, and in that you'll be obviously working on one particular technology, right? So it's always good to have a lot of technology background, that is a variety of technology of background. So because then you can make a switch between your jobs also easily, right? If you have worked on different technologies, you can easily make that switch. So this is always advisable, and it's not necessary you can always master one particular technology, but at a beginner's level I would not suggest that, because personally I never did that. So what I did is I started off with web development with PHP, then I shifted to a little bit of ASP. I also did software development, Windows Form application development using C Sharp. I was not into Java much, but later on I also moved on to Android app development, so mobile app development was under my hood. So a lot of things I've tried out, and I'm not going to say that I'm going to be a master of one particular thing. I'm still not actually, but I do know a lot of things at a basic level, at a fundamental level, so that I can always switch between them depending upon what technology is relevant. So yeah, these were my 5 tips for starting off with freelancing. I hope these were very informational to you. If you feel that this video is helpful for you, do share it with your friends. Maybe it will help them also. Definitely share it with anyone who wants to get into freelancing but does not have that confidence and needs some important tips. These really are very helpful for beginners because these are tried and tested by me myself. These are my personal opinions. I'm pretty sure these will help you a lot. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments how this video was. If you have any suggestions on freelancing, if you have any queries, you can always put them in the comments. You can ask me on social media like Instagram or Facebook. I'm pretty active. I respond to almost all of your comments. So let me know in the comments how this video was. If you need any more such kind of videos, if you need any more tips, if you need any elaboration, do let me know. I'll pretty much try to answer them all. So that's it for this video, guys. This is Tanmay Sakpal signing off for Simple Snippets, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.